Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Intent Hockey Channel. Today's video, we've got another news and rumor here to discuss. We're looking at some training camp cuts from over the past couple of days, some waiver updates, and some trade rumors involving the Bruins, Rangers, and the Los Angeles Kings. And with all that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Intent Hockey Channel. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all your support. We know it's without you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. And don't leave a comment down in the comment section below so we can discuss today's video. Now, we're going to start today's video off by looking at some training camp cuts from yesterday. So there are a lot of interesting guys who got cut from the roster from training camp. So we'll start with all the guys that happened yesterday. So the Hawks sent 3 guys down to the minors, including Zach Sanford and Brett Seney. The Stars sent 20 or 21 players down to the AHL or released from PTOs or things like that yesterday, including moving down guys like Christian Kyrou, Kyle McDonald, Remy Poirier, Matthew Semenoff, Antonio Stranges, and Chase Wheatcroft. So some interesting names there for the Stars to move down. The Panthers sent down 9 players to the minors or released or things like that, including guys like Ben Steeves, Grayson Sachin. They let go of Aiden McDonough, and they also sent Michael Benning down to the minors. So the Panthers sent a couple of players down as training camp cuts. The Wild sent down 9 players, including Riley Height, Caden Bankier, Brendan Gaunce, Carson Lambos, Ryan O'Rourke, David Spacek. So they sent some players down. The Nashville Predators sent 3 players down, including Kiefer Bellows and Vinny Hinostroza. The Senators sent down 4 players, including Leevi Merilainen and Philip Roos. The Pittsburgh Penguins sent down Sergei Marushov, so that's interesting out there. The Sharks sent down 12 players, including Justin Bailey, Philip Bystedt, Brendan Coe, first round pick from this past year, Sam Dickinson, Jake Furlong, Quinn Musty, amongst others, so interesting note there. The St. Louis Blues moved down 4 players, including Mackenzie McEachern, Hunter Skinner, and Matthias Laferriere, so interesting note there. The Maple Leafs sent down Ben Danforth, who was their first round pick from this past year, and the Utah franchise sent down guys like Cam Hebig, Kevin Knan, and Travis Biron. So the Utah Hockey Club also sent down a couple of players too, 5 in total. So interesting note there, not a whole bunch here, but there are some interesting players who have been sent down over the past day, so interesting note there. If you look at the waiver update, only a couple of waiver updates here. Everyone who was placed on waivers on Sunday has cleared, so that's Mark McLaughlin in Boston, Firk and Kirkland in Calgary, Sanford and Seney in Chicago, Deneen and Carrick in Edmonton, Godin, Madden, Hicketts and Walsh in Los Angeles, Raska, Crotty, and Sessioni in Minnesota, Condata and Jiganak in Montreal, Bellows, Hinostroza, and Murray in Nashville, Laferriere, McEachern, McGing, and Skinner in St. Louis, as well as Paquette Bisson and Pouliot in Tampa. So all those guys are cleared. Not overly surprised that most of them cleared. I could have seen a guy like maybe Vinny Hinostroza, Mackenzie McEachern, maybe Matt Murray, Tyler Madden could have been a guy who I could see have been claimed. Besides that, Zach Sanford maybe, Mark McLaughlin. Besides that, there's not really a whole bunch of players who I thought would have been claimed, so not too surprised there wasn't any claims yesterday, but still it's interesting to note there that all the players who were placed on waivers on Sunday have been cleared. And now just discussing all the players who were placed on waivers yesterday. On Monday, not sure if they've been cleared or not, so don't hold me accountable to that, but at this point in time, Jacob McDonald was placed on waivers by the Avalanche, Jeff Malott was placed on waivers by the Kings, the Minnesota Wild placed Travis Boyd, Brendan Gaunce, and Devin Shore, the San Jose Sharks placed Justin Bailey and Jimmy Shullett, the St. Louis Blues sent Nikita Alexandrov, and the Utah franchise sent Biron and Knan. And those were all the guys who were placed on waivers yesterday. Once again, we'll have to figure out later today if they've been claimed or not, but at this point in time, we're not sure if they've been claimed or not, but those are the guys who were placed on waivers. So interesting note there, but those are the training camp cuts, as well as the waiver placements from over the past couple of days. So that's your update for the waivers updates and stuff like that. No signing updates from over the past couple of days, no trade updates. There was one major injury update, and we talked about this in our last video, but David Reinbacher, who we said had a knee injury, seemed like he was going to be out for a while, has officially been announced is going to be out for about 5 to 6 months. So he's probably not going to be back until some point in the new year, probably sometime around February or March. So it's going to be a big bad blow there for the Montreal Canadiens to lose a top prospect like Reinbacher, but hopefully he's able to get back before his season ends in the AHL or wherever he's going to play. So bad blow there for the Canadiens, but Reinbacher is going to be out for the next little while, so interesting note there. And William Karlsson also suffered a minor injury, but he should be back in the next couple of days, so interesting note there. And lastly, we're going to go to a couple of trade rumors. We're going to start here with the the LA Kings. Once again, not going to get into too much trade rumors here because there's probably going to be some more trade chatter that picks up over the next couple of days. But with the LA Kings losing Doughty, there's been a lot of talk about them being in the market for a right shot defenseman. Now, I'm not sure if that'll be just trying to get like a small lower end guy who can play third pair minutes and sort of help them round out that forward group, or if they try and go after a bigger type defenseman. We know that this team is a little bit younger on the defensive side, but also they don't have a whole bunch of experience. So adding a guy who has some term might be a smart move there. A guy who I could definitely see him target is a guy like David Savard in Montreal. He plays right side, so he could really step in that defensive role for the LA Kings. And we know that Savard is a potential trade candidate there for the Canadians, so that could be an option there. Another guy would be Ivan Provorov in Columbus. We know that he might be a trade chip for this year. There could be a couple other guys out there too. Just thinking maybe we got Mario Ferraro if they want someone with term, Rasmus Andersson if they want someone with term. He also fits the bills like a top 4 right shot defenseman, so that could be a potential option. There could be a guy like Cam Fowler if they want to try and get a left shot defenseman. I do wonder if they could try and go after a guy like Connor Murphy, who's also a left shot defenseman. So there's a couple of options out there, not saying it's a guarantee, and they could try and go for a smaller guy who plays third pair minutes, who's in the final year of his deal and is a cheap guy. So it's quite a possibility that they don't go after someone big, but it seems that they will be going after some sort of defenseman before season starts, and whether that's a lower end guy who can play third pair minutes or a more prominent guy who can play in the top 4, maybe even a guy with term, I'll have to wait and see. But it does seem like the Kings, after the Doughty injury, are in the market for a defenseman, and it would not be overly shocking if they tried to make some sort of deal before the season starts. So keep your eye on the LA Kings, as they're going to be a team to watch out for the next couple of days as we get the training camp rosters cut down to where they have to be cap compliant by the season starts. Going over to New York Rangers, now there's been no official speculation about this, but a lot of people are speculating right now that Igor Shesterkin is currently looking for a massive contract on his new deal, and there's been some talk out there. I've seen some people say it's probably going to happen. I've seen some people say it's probably not, but a lot of people have said that Shesterkin may cut ties on negotiations during the season, so if they don't get an extension done before the season starts, he may go into the season and not want to discuss his contract. So that's his right. He can do that whatever he wants, but it could hinder the New York Rangers. So there's been a lot of speculation out there that could the Rangers potentially, this is a really unlikely scenario, at least in my opinion, but could the Rangers consider moving Igor Shesterkin? Now, currently, according to all the reports we've seen, that Shesterkin either wants 12% of the New York Rangers cap hit, which I think would be in the $11 to $12 million range, or a lot of people have also said that he wants to be the highest paid New York Ranger player, which would mean surpassing Panarin's, I think, $11.2 million cap hit. Now, I think he is, at this point in time, one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. I think the best goaltender is maybe still Vasilevsky. Shesterkin's gonna pass him eventually, but Vasilevsky's making $9.5 million. Now that is in a no-tax state of Tampa, so it'd probably be somewhere between like 11.25 million in New York. So I can see why he'd want 11+ million in New York, but to see him be the highest paid player in New York would be really interesting. To see a $12 million goaltender would be also quite surprising. So at this point in time, I'm not sure if Shesterkin will sign over the next couple of days before the season starts, or if he won't. But if he goes into the season, is there a possibility the Rangers could trade him? I think it's a possibility. I mean, he will be a pending UFA, but I wouldn't do it for 2 reasons. A, he's the backbone of that team. Even if you wanted like $12.25 million, I would just give it to him, given the fact he's one of the best goaltenders in the NHL, and they're a team who does not have any of those tax benefits. And I would try and figure out the other roster situations later. I think he's a really great goaltender, and even if he wanted $12 million, I would probably give it to him, just given how good he is. But on the second side of things, goaltenders really don't trade overly well. We saw this with Ullmark, we saw this with Markstrom. There was massive rumors for a long period of time that they would get massive returns, the Flames and the Bruins would, but the Bruins only got Korpisalo, Kastelich, and a first-round pick. The Flames only got Ball in a first-round pick, so they were able to get first-round picks, so you could probably get like a first-round pick and maybe a good prospect, but it's not going to be anything over the top that we see forwards or defensemen get traded for. So I just don't think they would make overly good on an Igor Shesterkin trade, and I think he's the backbone of that team right now. So in my opinion, I think they should try and keep him, but we'll have to wait and see. Is it a possibility? It's always going to be a possibility. I mean, Wayne Gretzky got traded, so it's always going to be a possibility. But if I'm the Rangers, I would just try and give him as close to what he wants as he can, while trying to be reasonable, and maybe try and get him just under $12 million, maybe try and get somewhere around there. But I would definitely try and sign Igor Shesterkin, so that's an interesting note there. And lastly, going over to the Boston Bruins. The Bruins have the last RFA left in the restricted free agent market this year, and that's Jeremy Swayman. Swayman is the last RFA who has not been signed yet. We talked about this yesterday. Lots of RFAs have been signed now. Swayman's just the last one, and that contract negotiation is getting ugly. There was a lot of interesting info yesterday. We got some more updates earlier today. So yesterday, during a press conference, Cam Neely was asked about Jeremy Swayman. He said there would be 64 million reasons why Swayman should be playing right now, basically hinting at the fact that he'd offered Swayman a $64 million contract, which would basically 8 times 8, which is a reasonable contract for Swayman. I talked about this a while ago. I think only 8 or 9 goaltenders have $6+ million on their AAV. So to get $8 million, which I think only a handful of guys are at right now, would be a fantastic piece of work there for Swayman. But there's apparently not been that sort of contract offer, because Swayman's agent came out later in the day and said that there has been no such offer of $64 million, and that they're sort of going to take the next few days to figure out what they're going to do. Leevi Merilainen put out an article later that day, yesterday, saying that while he hasn't officially asked for it, Swayman might be considering a trade after how ugly this has gotten. On top of that, earlier this morning, Frank Seravalli basically said that when this started, talking about a longer term deal, that Swayman wanted 8.5 and the Bruins wanted 6.5. And while that $64 million that Neely mentioned is actually not true, Seravalli says that they did offer him a deal where his AAV was 7.8 million, not 8 million, but that is a lot higher than what the $6.5 million they originally started with. So the Bruins, Seravalli says, at this point in time, feel they've come up quite a bit from where they originally started, and they're really frustrated that Swayman's still holding strong at $8.5 million asking price. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how this works out. It's only $700,000 gap. Can they maybe make it work like 8.25? I wonder. It's going to be an interesting situation to watch out for, but that's led to a lot of people to speculate, could Swayman be dealt? Now, I don't think the Bruins really want to do this. I think even if it's really hard to do, I think they should try and get up to 8.25, because Swayman is a really good goaltender. I know he doesn't have a whole bunch of experience, but I do think he's a really good goaltender, and I do think he's one of the better goaltenders in the NHL. But on top of that, the Bruins don't have that much cap space. So could they try and move Swayman? It's possible. I mean, there would be a lot of teams who I think would love to get their hands on Swayman. Teams who come to my opinion would be a team like the Detroit Red Wings, who have a lot of goaltending concerns right now. The Hurricanes, who I think could definitely use a goalie upgrade. The Jackets, who have been rumored to be moving on from Merilainen. I think the Penguins and Flyers will both be interested in a guy like Jeremy Swayman. I think Utah could definitely use an upgrade like a Jeremy Swayman. I think another team would be a team like Colorado, who I think has Georgiev entering the final year of his deal. I think a team like St. Louis could potentially look to try and make a deal for Swayman, maybe move on from Binnington. I think a team like Anaheim could try and move Gibson to get Swayman. I think Seattle could try and move Grubauer to get Swayman. I think LA, even though they just acquired Kemper, would love to probably get Swayman. I personally said that, I think it was about 6 to 9 months ago. I was talking about it, saying how a nice bold prediction would have been that Swayman would have been going to LA for a guy like Philip Deneau. That was back when the Bruins didn't have a top line center. Now they do. So I don't know how good of a potential option that would be, and that was also back when they had Linus Ullmark. So I think if the Bruins were to move Swayman, they're not going to try and get future assets for him. They try and get a goaltender who help them now. So if you're looking at Anaheim, you're looking at John Gibson, you're looking at LA, you're looking at Kemper, you're looking at Seattle, you're looking at Grubauer, you're looking at Utah, you're looking at a guy like Vejmelka, you're looking at Colorado, you're looking at Georgiev, you're looking at Detroit, you're probably looking at a guy like Lyon, Talbot, maybe try and get Cossa. Like, if this situation gets bad enough, they do try and trade Swayman, they're going to have to get a goaltender who's going to be coming back in return. So it's going to be interesting to see. This is going to be an interesting situation to watch out for the next couple of days. I think it's quite possible they could come to terms like a $8.25 million deal, maybe even by the time this hits YouTube. But at this point in time, the situation's getting ugly, and unless they find a contract situation in the not too distant future, the Bruins are going to be in a very difficult position, because they're going to be going from a tandem of Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman to a tandem of Jonas Korpisalo and probably Brandon Bussi, who doesn't have any NHL experience. So at this point in time, it'll be interesting to see, but there's been a lot of speculations about Swayman over the past little while. So definitely, after your thoughts on all this down in the comment section below. What do you think happens with Swayman? Does he sign an extension, or is there a possibility he could get dealt? Do the Rangers move on from Igor Shesterkin, or can they work together on a contract potentially before the season starts? Do Kings wind up acquiring a defenseman? If so, who could they try and target? And what do you think about waiver updates and training camp cuts from the past couple of days? Definitely, after your thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. So on top for today, or to this video, if you're interested, subscribe down below. Thank you for support when I to the top of you guys. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't leave a comment down in the comment section below, so you can also discuss this video. Also a blog to make news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So check that out. Leave a link down in the description below, and kind of see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.